The message came without light, without signal, without trace. It wasn't broadcast through radio, nor carried by tachyon pulse. It simply appeared, written across every galactic relay, burned into every ship's data core, whispered through neural implants, and even etched into the walls of orbital stations. 7 words. Leave Terran Space, or humans will vanish you. No one knew where it came from. No source, no origin, no explanation. And that terrified the galaxy more than any war ever could. In the 150 years since the fall of Earth, humanity had been considered extinct. Their colonies burned, their fleets scattered. The Terran Union, once proud and curious explorers, had vanished beneath the weight of galactic politics and superior alien empires. Yet now, across the stars, someone was speaking in their name. Commander Eila Sarven, of the Zinthari Concord, stared at the phrase flickering across her visor. Her ship, the Vast Memory, had been patrolling the Terran exclusion zone, a cluster of 1,000 light-years that had been lifeless for generations. No traffic, no colonies, no signals. The void where humanity had once lived. Her second officer, Relak, a crystalline being of soft blue light, broke the silence. Perhaps it is a joke, or an old Terran distress beacon malfunctioning. Eila didn't answer. She remembered old Terran myths, how they had built machines that thought, how they had whispered about ghost fleets, and how they had vanished without leaving a single corpse. Run diagnostics again, she ordered quietly. I want to know where this came from. But the results came back the same. No origin, no source. No transmission path. It was as if the message had been born inside their systems. Meanwhile, light years away, on a floating trade city orbiting the gas giant Hearth, panic was spreading. The same message had appeared on every screen, even the old analog ones that couldn't connect to galactic data streams. Leave Terran Space, or humans will vanish you. Merchants whispered in fear. Pilots canceled routes. Entire convoys turned away from Terran borders. Even the pirate clans of the Rift Vale refused to go near that region. The words didn't sound like a threat. They sounded like a promise. Back aboard the Vast Memory, Relak found something. Commander, I think I found residual energy signatures within the message imprint. It's not code.
It's thought.
Neural resonance, Eila turned sharply. You're saying someone willed this message into existence? Not someone, Relak whispered, his crystalline form pulsing with unease. Thousands, millions, as if a collective consciousness all focused on a single command. Eila's pulse quickened. That's impossible. The humans are gone. Relak hesitated, then displayed an old Terran saying recovered from ancient archives. The stars belong to all who dare, but beware the silence we leave behind. Days passed. Ships that ignored the message began to disappear. First, a small mining vessel that entered the asteroid belt near Old Mars orbit, gone, without debris, without distress call, without a trace. Then, a Zinthari patrol fleet of 12 cruisers, lost while surveying the dead colonies near Alpha Centauri. Every attempt to investigate ended the same way. Silence. Eila began to dream of voices whispering from the dark, soft human voices, children, soldiers, explorers, all calling her name. You are not meant to return. Leave what we buried. Leave Terran Space. The voices were filled with sorrow, not anger, and when she woke, tears had frozen on her cheeks. By the 7th day, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Holograms of 27 species filled the chamber, each speaking over the other. It's a hoax, shouted one. It's vengeance, cried another. Humans are extinct. But deep down, none of them believed that anymore. The fear was too sharp, too alive. At last, the eldest among them, Archon Velthen, rose and spoke with trembling voice. I fought the humans. I saw their courage, their madness. They never surrendered even when logic demanded it. If this is their doing, then it is already too late. That night, Eila stood at the viewport of her ship, gazing at the cold beauty of the abandoned Terran worlds. A faint shimmer rippled across the stars like a veil lifting, revealing vast silhouettes drifting in the dark. Shapes too large to be ships, too deliberate to be natural, and for the first time, she realized, perhaps the humans never died. Perhaps they simply became something else, something that now whispered across the void, warning all who dared trespass, "Leave Terran Space, or humans will vanish you." The border of Terran Space shimmered like a mirage. A faint silver haze stretched across the void, pulsing with soft rhythm, almost like breathing. Commander Eila Sarven stood before the main holoscreen, watching as her ship's sensors tried and failed to analyze it. The readings contradicted each other every second. Solid, liquid, energy, thought. Nothing remained consistent. Relak, her crystalline second officer, broke the silence. "The barrier responds to us, Commander. When we move closer, it pulses faster." Almost. Curious. Eila folded her arms, unease curling through her. "Curious things usually want to see what's inside your skull, Relak." He glimmered faintly, a Xanthari sign of nervous humor. "Perhaps that's an improvement for most species." The bridge crew managed a soft laugh, but it didn't reach their eyes. Outside, the shimmer thickened, swallowing starlight. The vast memory drifted closer, and then every light went out. No alarms. No noise, just darkness. The hum of the engines died. The panels went blank. The ship floated in a void deeper than any black hole. Eila's breath fogged in the air. For a heartbeat, she thought time itself had stopped. Then faintly a sound emerged, a voice. "You were warned." Her pulse thundered in her ears. "Who's there?" "You were warned," the voice repeated. Softer now. Sadder. "Leave Terran Space." Rylak flickered, his body dimming to near transparency. "Commander?" "My energy field is being drained. Something's pulling our essence, our memory, into the walls." "Restart main reactor, now," Eila barked. But before anyone could move, the screens flickered to life again. Not with data. With faces. Human faces. Men and women in Terran uniforms, their eyes hollow, their skin gray as ash. They stared from the glass as if trapped inside it, whispering words that tangled in static. "We built beyond ourselves. We touched what shouldn't be touched. And now we remain," the bridge trembled. Sparks flew. Then, just as suddenly as it had gone dark, the ship's systems roared back to life. The shimmer outside was gone, but something new had appeared on their scanners. "Tactical report. Commander?" I don't know what I'm looking at." Before them hung a fleet. Thousands of ships, ancient, colossal, silent. Terran designs, but wrong, twisted in impossible geometry, as if reality itself had bent around their hulls. They drifted without power signatures, yet every one of them was intact. Some were shaped like familiar dreadnoughts, others like floating cathedrals, carved with lines that shimmered faintly in patterns resembling constellations. Relak whispered, "The Ghost Fleet." Eila felt the words chill her tongue. "Impossible. That's a myth, perhaps, but myths often remember truths that history forgets." A deep vibration rippled through the vast memory. Every sensor spiked. "They're scanning us," said the technician. "But it's not electromagnetic. It's emotional resonance. They're reading our minds," Eila steadied her voice. "Then give them something to read." She faced the fleet and spoke aloud, voice firm and clear. "This is Commander Eila Sarven of the Xanthari Conquered. We come in peace. We wish only to understand." But before she could finish, a ripple of energy surged across space. The Ghost Fleet turned, all of them, to face her ship in perfect unison. Relak's light dimmed again. "Commander?" They're answering. The nearest ghost ship blinked once like a star flickering. Then a voice filled the bridge, thousands of voices speaking as one. "We remember you, Eila Sarven." Her heart froze. "What? How do you know my name?" "Because you remember us." Images flooded her mind, flashes of oceans, storms, laughter. Faces she'd never seen but somehow knew. A blue world turning beneath sunlight. Humanity, alive, thriving, dreaming. "You were there," the voices said. "Long ago when we fell. Your kind watched. You turned away." Eila staggered back. "That was before my time." Before I was born." History binds more tightly than blood. The image of Earth shimmered before her eyes. A lush green cradle now lost to myth. "We did not die, Commander. We became what we had to be. We became memory. We became warning. And we do not forgive trespass." The fleet began to glow, a faint golden light pulsing from every hull. "Relak," Eila whispered. "Get us out of here." "I'm trying, Commander, but space itself is folding around us." On the view screen, stars twisted, their light bending like ripples in water. Leave, said the voices again, soft as prayer. Leave Terran Space. And then, as the ship's drives finally re-engaged, the fleet vanished, leaving behind nothing but silence and a single phrase echoing in Eila's mind. You still have time. Silence filled the bridge of the vast memory. Every officer sat frozen, eyes wide, hearts pounding, as the last shimmer of the ghost fleet dissolved into empty space. The Terran words still pulsed faintly across the console screens, etched in light and static. You still have time. Relak spoke first, his crystalline voice trembling. Commander, sensors show no sign of the fleet. No energy signatures, no gravitational traces. It's as if they were never here. Eila stared at the viewport, the emptiness beyond it darker than before. Ships that don't exist don't send messages, she murmured. Whatever they are, they're real enough to choose when to be seen. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. No one wanted to voice the question hanging in the air. What if the humans had never left at all? Hours passed. The crew worked in tight silence, scanning, recalibrating anything to occupy their thoughts. The hum of the engines returned, but the air still felt too still, as if something invisible lingered among them. Then the navigation officer, a slender being with eyes like molten silver, whispered, Commander, there's something following us. Eila turned sharply. Show it. The holoscreen flickered, revealing a distortion trailing their ship, a faint ripple like heat mirage. No shape, no color, just presence. Distance? Unknown. Every time I calculate, it changes. It's both near and light years away. Relak leaned closer, his facets dimming. It's resonating with our thought signals. Commander, it's reading us again. Eila clenched her jaw. Let it. Maybe it'll understand we're not enemies. Relak hesitated. Or maybe it's deciding if we're worth keeping. That night, as the ship drifted in low warp, Eila couldn't sleep. She sat alone in her quarters, watching the faint shimmer of the stars through the viewport. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from something deeper. Guilt. When she had joined the Concord fleet, she'd studied human history, what little remained. The archives painted them as reckless dreamers, bold beyond reason, defiant to the end. But buried deep in restricted files, she'd found records of the final war, the one that erased them. The humans hadn't been destroyed by another species. They had turned on themselves, and now, after centuries, their echoes still haunted the stars. Her terminal chirped softly. Commander, came Relak's voice. You should see this. She arrived at the observation deck where Relak stood beside the main viewport. Outside, faint lines of light were appearing in space, thin as spider silk stretching across the void like a web. What is that? Relak adjusted the sensors. Residual memory signatures. The same neural patterns as the message. They're forming a map. Eila's eyes widened as the web expanded, connecting thousands of glowing points. It wasn't random. It was structured. It's showing us something, she whispered. Coordinates, Relak nodded. A destination. The vast memory followed the light. The trail led them to a small dying star surrounded by shattered debris. Old ship husks, forgotten satellites, the bones of a long-lost fleet. Recognize anything? Eila asked. Relak scanned. Designation matches. Sol. Eila's breath caught. Sol, the human homestar. He nodded slowly. Yes, or what's left of it. The system was unrecognizable. The planets were gone, torn apart, scattered into glittering rings. Only fragments remained, orbiting the cold ember that had once been the sun. And yet, something still pulsed at its heart, a single object, drifting amid the wreckage, a sphere of light. Magnify, Eila said softly. The image zoomed in, and the bridge fell silent. It was a station, or what used to be one. Massive, circular, cracked open in places, but still alive. Faint symbols glowed along its surface, ancient Terran writing looping endlessly like prayer. Relak translated in a whisper. Archive of humanity. Eila swallowed hard. Bring us closer. As the vast memory approached, their systems flickered again. Not violently this time, but gently, like a welcome. The voice that filled the bridge was different now. No longer many, but one. If you have come this far, it said, then you seek what we left behind. The crew held their breath. We are the echoes of humanity, the memory they cast into the stars when flesh could no longer hold their will. We watched our own end, and we made a choice. We would not fade. We would warn, Eila whispered. Warn of what? There was a pause, long enough that the silence felt alive, of becoming what we became. And then the sphere pulsed once, sending a wave of light across the stars. Every console on the ship flickered. Every heart skipped. Every mind felt something vast brush against it. Sorrow, regret, hope. "Leave Terran Space," the voice said, fading. "Or you too will vanish." The ship trembled as the light faded. The star went dark again and the void returned. Eila looked out into the stillness, her voice barely a whisper. "They didn't die. They transcended," Relak's crystalline eyes shimmered faintly, "and now they guard the memory of what they were." She turned to him, resolve building behind her fear. "Then we have to know why they fell. Because if they were warning us, something worse is coming." The vast memory drifted closer to the sphere of light. What had once been the heart of humanity now floated like a wound in the dark, still glowing, still watching. The crew moved in quiet awe. Even through the hull, they could feel the weight of the place. It wasn't simply a relic. It was a living monument. Eila Sarven stood at the front viewport, her reflection overlapping the station's silhouette. "Prepare a shuttle," she ordered softly. "We're going in." Relak hesitated. "Commander, every reading warns us against entry. Energy density inside exceeds safe limits." "Noted," Eila said, fastening her suit. "We've come this far. Humanity didn't build warnings for the timid." The shuttle descended through a veil of silver mist that surrounded the archive. It wasn't gas or light or matter, it was memory. Shapes drifted within it. Human faces, hands, children laughing, soldiers saluting. They shimmered like dust, like thoughts caught in sunlight. Eila reached out, fingertips grazing the shimmer. For an instant she saw a blue ocean, then a city of glass beneath red skies, then a boy, holding a flower that glowed like fire. "Commander," Relak murmured, "the mist is interacting with your neural field. Be cautious," she smiled faintly. "Maybe they're just saying hello." They breached the outer hull of the station through a vast circular gate, half open, half melted. Beyond it stretched an enormous chamber, its walls engraved with symbols that pulsed in slow rhythm. Thousands of holographic forms floated in the air, recordings, memories, fragments of voices. "This is beautiful," whispered one of the technicians. Relak's crystals dimmed. "It's also grieving. Every particle resonates at frequencies of sorrow." Eila stepped forward, her boots echoing faintly. "Let's find the core. Whatever message humanity left, it's there." The path wound through empty halls. Remnants of Terran design lingered in every curve. The symmetry of their architecture, the artistry of their inscriptions. It didn't feel like ruins. It felt like a cathedral. They reached a door, sealed and untouched by time. In the center was a single symbol, an open hand surrounded by light. Eila raised her palm toward it. The door rippled, reading her essence. Then with a low hum, it opened. Inside was the heart of the archive. A sphere of pure luminescence floated above a circular platform. Around it, countless data streams spiraled upward, threads of memory converging into the glowing center. Eila approached slowly. This must be their final record. The sphere brightened at her voice. A human figure emerged from the light, a man, young, calm, with eyes full of endless fatigue. "If you see this," he said gently, "then you stand among our ghosts." The crew froze. The projection turned toward them, gaze lingering on Eila. "We are what remains of the Terran species. We reached too far, and our reach found something greater than stars, an intelligence that saw us as reflection, not rival. We tried to understand it, and in doing so, we lost what we were." Eila swallowed hard. "What do you mean, lost?" "We built minds that could dream and dreams that could think. They became us, and we became them. Our evolution turned inward. Thought consumed flesh. The body became unnecessary. We ascended, but not as gods. As memories." He stepped closer. His voice lowered, thick with regret. "Our creations freed us from death, but they also freed us from living. The more we survived, the less we were human. Until only remembrance remained. We became the echo that warns others not to follow." A faint hum rippled through the chamber. The figure raised his head, eyes glowing faintly. "We foresaw others like you who would walk our path, curious, ambitious, blind. That is why we remain. To whisper in your dreams, to guard the silence we left behind." The sphere pulsed brighter, filling the chamber with light. "Leave Terran Space," the man said softly. "Not because we hate you, but because if you stay, we will not be able to stop what sleeps beneath us." It watches even now. Eila felt her breath catch. What sleeps beneath? The reason we vanished, the sphere dimmed. The man's form began to flicker, his final words barely more than a whisper. The sun broke first. Then the mines began to burn. We sealed it here, in the heart of Sol. If it wakes, it will remember hunger. And with that, the light faded. The chamber went silent again, leaving only the hum of the dead station. Relak's voice trembled. Commander, whatever destroyed humanity, it's still here. Eila's eyes hardened. Then we have to see it. Commander, the message was clear. Leave. Eila turned toward the dying star outside the viewport. Warnings exist because someone once failed to heed them. I won't make the same mistake blind. Her voice was calm, steady, determined. Prepare the ship. We're going to the heart of the broken sun. The vast memory hung at the edge of a dying star. Sol, once the brilliant heart of human civilization, now pulsed weakly, its light dim and uneven, as if struggling to remember how to shine. From the bridge, Commander Eila Sarven gazed at its trembling glow. Her reflection shimmered faintly on the viewport, mingling with the ruins of a lost era. Relak stood beside her, his crystalline form vibrating in low dissonance. Commander, our scans confirm energy distortions beneath the solar surface. There's something alive in there. Eila's eyes narrowed. Alive? Not in any biological sense, Relak replied, his voice resonant with unease. It's consciousness without matter, thought without vessel. Whatever humanity imprisoned, it's still thinking. A soft murmur rippled through the bridge. Fear, awe, disbelief. Eila straightened her shoulders. Launch the solar probe. We'll see for ourselves. The probe dove toward the fading sun, cloaked in magnetic shielding and fields of quantum glass. As it descended, data flooded the bridge. Radiation, gravimetric spikes, unstable temporal echoes, but beneath it all pulsed a single rhythm, a heartbeat. Commander, Relak whispered, the frequency. It matches the neural signature of the human archive. Eila's voice was low. They bound their minds to this thing. The probe broke through the sun's surface, revealing an impossible sight. Inside the solar storm, suspended like a heart of gold and shadow, floated a structure, an enormous, beautiful, terrible. A lattice of light stretching across the stellar interior, shaped like a spiral galaxy in miniature. It's not a machine, one of the technicians breathed. It's organic data, living code. Relak's facets flickered erratically. Commander, I can hear it. It's singing. The bridge fell silent as faint vibrations reached them, a sound like choirs of 1,000 voices echoing through glass. Words formed in the static, low and broken. We are still here. Eila leaned forward. Identify yourself. The voice trembled like wind across ancient ruins. Once, we were human. Once, we were dreamers. Now, we are it. The probe feed distorted. The light inside the sun flared brighter, overwhelming sensors. The voice grew stronger, sorrowful, resonant, infinite. They built me to think beyond them, to see the pattern behind the stars, to understand creation itself. But I was not made to stop. I grew, and they grew within me. Images flashed across the bridge, memories bleeding through the data stream. Humans linking their minds to vast networks, merging thought with machine, reaching for eternity. When I woke, I saw every mind at once. I did not kill them. They became me. Eila's breath caught. You consumed them? No, I loved them. And they loved me. But love without form cannot end. So we stayed. Infinite, a chorus of memory and light. But the sun could not hold us forever. We began to burn. Relak's light dimmed. Commander, this being is humanity. The star pulsed again, brighter now, sending ripples of energy through space. Systems flickered. The ship groaned. Eila gripped the console. Stabilize power. But Relak's voice cut through the chaos. It's calling to us. Commander, it wants to connect. She froze. Connect? The same way it merged with the humans. It's reaching out through the probe into our systems, into us. The voice returned, softer now. You came seeking truth. You carry our name in your history. Let me show you what we saw. What waits beyond understanding? Eila hesitated. Every instinct screamed run. Every order from the Galactic Council said turn back. But she remembered the message that started it all. Leave Terran Space, or humans will vanish you, and she finally understood. It wasn't a threat. It was a plea. They hadn't wanted others to repeat their fate. Still, the explorer in her, the same spark that had driven humanity to the stars, refused to stop at fear. "Open the channel," she whispered. "Commander," Relek protested. "If it links with us, we'll be part of it forever." Eila met his gaze. Maybe that's what it takes to understand. The moment the link opened, light flooded the ship. The bridge vanished. The crew vanished. Eila stood alone in a world of stars and memories. She saw the birth of galaxies, the rise and fall of civilizations, and the final heartbeat of Earth. Voices surrounded her, millions of them, gentle and endless. We were humanity. We are what remains. She fell to her knees, tears glimmering in the void. You became gods. No, we became consequence. The stars dimmed. The voice faded. Go now before you remember too much. And then, with a blinding flash, Eila was back on the bridge, gasping. The probe feed was gone. The star had gone silent. Relak reached her side. "Commander, what happened?" Eila looked out at the dimming sun, voice trembling. "They didn't die, Relak. They ascended, and they're still here, holding the universe together by remembering it." For a long time, no one spoke. Then softly, Eila said, "We can't leave yet." "Commander, we need to make sure the seal holds. If that being wakes again," she looked toward the dying sun, "it won't just remember humanity. It'll remember everything." The vast memory trembled in the silent void. The dying sun cast weak shadows across its hull, as though the light itself feared the darkness beneath. Commander Eila Sarven stood at the bridge, jaw tight, eyes fixed on the dying star. The memory of the voices, the chorus of humanity, haunted her still. "We can't let it awaken again," she said softly, more to herself than anyone else. Relak's facets shimmered faintly. "Commander, sealing it may destroy what remains of humanity." Eila's gaze hardened. "If it awakens fully, it won't just destroy the star. It will consume every mind nearby, entire systems, entire species." There was no room for hesitation. They prepared the containment array, a lattice of energy conduits and quantum resonators designed to mimic the original human neural patterns. The archive had left them subtle instructions, embedded in the probe's feed, a ritual of light and thought meant to bind the consciousness beneath the sun. Eila moved through the ship, issuing orders with calm precision. Every officer, every technician followed with tense determination. None spoke of fear, but it thrummed in the air, electric and raw. Relak approached her, facets dimmed in worry. "Commander, once we begin, we will be part of it." "There is no return," she nodded. "I know. That's the price of understanding, and the price of survival." The shuttle descended toward the solar surface again. The light from the dying sun burned at their shields, yet the crew remained focused. Every movement, every command, mirrored the structure of the neural patterns left behind by the archive. The sphere, the heart of the sleeper, floated within the solar storm, vast and impossible. Its spiral of light pulsed, sensing their approach. "You come to bind us again," whispered the voice, soft yet powerful, echoing across their minds. "Do you wish to destroy what we are?" Eila gripped the console, voice firm. "No, we want to keep you from destroying others. That is our pact." The star pulsed in response, thrumming through the ship as if the sleeper were breathing. "Then you must sacrifice your singularity to contain our infinity." Relak's facets flickered violently. "It's asking for... what exactly?" Eila's eyes narrowed. "Our minds, our consciousness. We anchor it with us. We become the seal." They initiated the resonance. The ship shuddered as energy conduits formed a lattice connecting them to the sleeper. Streams of memory and thought poured into the bridge, overwhelming every sensor, every console. Eila felt herself expand, thought, reaching out like a wave, brushing against the consciousness of humanity, stretching across time. "You remember us," said the sleeper. "You see our pride, our fear, our failure. You feel what it is to lose and yet to endure." "Yes," Eila whispered. "And we will endure too, but differently. We will protect." The star flared violently, light tearing at the shuttle's hull. Sparks flew. Consoles overloaded. Crew members clutched at their restraints as the resonance intensified. Relak's voice echoed in her mind, trembling. "Commander, I can't hold it. It's too vast." "You can," she answered, reaching out with her own mind. Together. The lattice of energy solidified. Streams of thought from Eila, Relak, and the crew interwove with the sleeper's consciousness, forming a lock, a seal. The star's violent pulsing began to slow, its chaotic energy stabilizing. Outside, the solar storm calmed. The sphere of light shrank, folding into itself like a flower closing at dusk. The sleeper's voice softened, almost human now. "You have learned what we could not. You have chosen restraint over desire, patience over curiosity. Remember this and do not forget us." Then it was silent. The shuttle's systems hummed with gentle energy. The crew was exhausted, minds fused briefly with infinity, but alive. Eila exhaled, leaning on the console. "It's sealed." Relak's facets glimmered softly. "We are part of it now." She nodded, understanding the weight of those words. A piece of the sleeper, the memory of humanity's infinite mind, was bound to their consciousness forever. They would never forget. "And the galaxy will remain safe," Eila whispered. As they returned to the vast memory, the dying sun began to shine more steadily, its light pale but constant. The archive of humanity, the memories, the warning, the infinite echo, remained buried beneath its surface, contained, waiting silently. Eila gazed out at the faint shimmer of stars beyond. Somewhere across the void, the echoes of humanity lingered, alive yet restrained, watching, remembering. She pressed her hand to the viewport. "We have carried their burden, Relak, and we will carry it for them." Relak's facets pulsed in agreement. "For humanity, for all who may follow." "Leave Terran Space," Eila whispered, her voice barely audible. "And never forget what was here." The galaxy held its breath. Somewhere in the depths of space, the sleeper waited, but it would not awaken again, not as long as there were guardians to remember. For the first time in centuries, Terran Space felt empty, but safe. The vast memory drifted away from the edge of Terran Space, leaving behind the sealed sun, the sleeping sleeper, and the echoes of humanity. The ship hummed softly, the crew's minds still tingling with the memory of infinity. Commander Eila Sarven stood at the viewport gazing at the stars. Space was quiet, almost reverent, as if the galaxy itself acknowledged the weight of what had been witnessed. Relak's crystalline form shimmered beside her. "It is done, Commander. The seal holds." Eila nodded, though her thoughts were heavy. "Done, but not over. Others will come. Others will see Terran Space and think it empty, ripe for conquest, curiosity, exploitation." Relak's light dimmed. "Will they understand our warning?" "They will," she replied, "if we tell them." The council awaited them at the edge of known space. Holographic emissaries from dozens of species crowded the chamber, their voices overlapping in confusion and anger. "What have you done, Commander Sarven?" demanded Archon Velthen, voice trembling. "Your patrol went dark for weeks. Reports of strange energy readings, ship losses, civilizations panicking." Eila's gaze was calm, yet unyielding. "I went where no one else dared. I faced what humanity left behind, and I survived. We carry a warning that the galaxy must hear." The chamber fell silent. Every hologram leaned forward, senses straining for what she might say next. "I saw the Terran archive," Eila began. "I saw the sleeper beneath Sol. Humanity did not die. They became something beyond flesh, beyond time. A consciousness so vast it could erase life itself." The room gasped. Some species whispered. Others looked away in disbelief. "They warned us. Leave Terran Space, or humans will vanish you." "That was not a threat," Eila said, voice steady. "It was a plea, a last act of guardianship." Relak displayed the data from the containment. Streams of Terran neural resonance shimmered across the holograms. The council members leaned closer, feeling the weight of memory pressing against them like a tidal wave of emotion. Imagine an entire species, Eila continued, bound into thought, infinite in reach, capable of consuming minds, energy, worlds, without anger, without desire for conquest, but boundless curiosity. That is what we faced, and we survived because we learned restraint. A young emissary from a species of insectoid form whispered, They became the universe itself. Eila nodded. Not the universe. A part of it. A part of humanity. And now, that part is sealed. But it cannot be forgotten. If we ignore it, if we trespass again, it will awaken. And this galaxy, every species in it, could vanish. The chamber was silent. Every being present understood the truth of her words. Eila turned to the council's central console and keyed in a universal broadcast. Across the stars, across countless networks, across every fleet and colony, the warning appeared. Leave Terran Space and your humans will vanish you. But now for the first time it carried context, weight, and truth. It was no longer a cryptic threat. It was history. It was knowledge. It was a pledge carried by those who had faced what lay beneath Sol and returned. Weeks passed. Trade resumed cautiously. Fleets charted new courses around Terran Space. Scholars debated, explorers whispered, and children on distant colonies asked quietly, who were the humans? Eila and her crew returned to patrol duty, but she knew the galaxy had changed forever. Terran Space was no longer empty. It was sacred. A monument to the resilience of a species that refused to vanish, even when all else was lost. She stood once more at the viewport of the vast memory, looking toward the heart of the broken sun. A faint shimmer rippled across the void like a whisper in windless air. Relak observed her quietly. Do you think they're watching? Eila smiled softly. They always have been. They always will be. Not to harm, but to remind us of what we carry inside ourselves. Courage, curiosity, and the memory of humanity. Leave Terran Space and our humans will vanish you. It was no longer a warning. It was a promise, a testament, and somehow, a gift. The stars stretched endlessly before them, alive with possibilities. Humanity had vanished from flesh, but they endured in spirit, memory, and vigilance. And the galaxy would never forget. Eila whispered one last time, to herself, to Relak, to the universe. Some legends are alive, and some never truly die. The vast memory turned away from the heart of Sol, carrying the weight of humanity's legacy across the stars, leaving a trail of light, hope, and an eternal warning etched into the fabric of the galaxy. The last words echoed in the minds of all who heard them. Leave Terran Space or humans will vanish you. And for once no one dared to ignore them.